I understood. What an abomination. Phew. Come on, another take. May I spit it out? How did I chew this crap? Greetings, viewers of the BROADAXE channel. I don't know about you, but our weather is great, so I want to make a noise. And today I decided to become a Viking. What does it take to become a real Viking? The first is beard, in stock available. Secondly, of course, an axe. Here is. Well, and thirdly, this is a hornet helmet. We know that in fact the Vikings didn't wear such a helmet, but we really like this image of the harsh bearded guys in hornet helmets, and now the most important thing remains to call the ancient gods. Odin, I want to raid! Odin, thanks! Now I am a Viking, so I am bearded, powerful and a little smelly. Where is my helmet? Is it really lost? Well, if archaeologists find it, they will recognize it as a real. It will be the first historical hornet helmet. This of course is funny, but where is my breakfast? I'm hungry actually. Oh, sure, I'm a Viking. This means that I have to take food from someone. Now I'll find some fool and arrange a masterclass of Scandinavian diplomacy. Hey! Stand! Came up here! Such a nimble peasant! Run away! At least I have food. We ought to eat this quickly before this hippie brought help with pitchfork and torches. The Vikings' diet was highly dependent on what he could get or plunder on the campaign. Therefore, the diet of the one who plundered England could be very different from the diet of the one who plundered the settlements of the Mediterranean Sea or the one who served Vasilevs. The home diet of the Vikings was quite varied. There is meat of both domestic and wild animals, fish, both sea and river, grain crops, vegetables, fruits, dairy products. Compared to the rest of Europe, the Vikings ate very cool. Today we will show you what a Viking could eat when he went on a short trip, for example to Ting or to a gathering point for a raid. Oatmeal. This is not oatmeal from the supermarket, but real grain oatmeal. Oats were quite common among the Vikings, along with barley and millet. Wheat and barley were usually ground into flour. From oats they cooked porridge. Various products were added to it to improve the taste: meat, fish, vegetables, berries. As they say, oatmeal, sir. This oatmeal doesn't taste like cereal. It is somewhat reminiscent for a spell, but I came across some poor peasant. For some reason he didn't add filling or berries to the porridge. It is good that there is jerky, which I will add to breakfast. The Vikings, in comparison with the rest of medieval Europe, ate a lot of meat products. First they boiled it and then added it in their porridge and stews. Oddly enough, the Vikings fried meat much less often than they show in the films. Basically, this was done for holidays or feasts. All surplus meat was tried to be salted, smoked, cooled. In general, they wanted to save food for a harsh winter or hike. Fortunately, the Vikings didn't have a problem with salt, or with wood, or with the cold in the cellars. They also liked to eat bird eggs. The Vikings cooked them and added to food, but on the hikes they ate the eggs raw. Judging by their size and coloring, these are eggs of some wild quail or partridges. In general, it is very dangerous to eat raw eggs of wild birds, because you can pick up some kind of sore. For example, salmonellosis. Did I say it? Salmonellosis. But the Vikings didn't know such clever words, and therefore they ate raw eggs without fear. Now I will show you some options for how to eat raw eggs. First, it can be done carefully. First you punch a hole and then you drink. The hole is too small. You drink like this. And second, you can use the toth-birded BROADAXE method. Calcium! It's good for your health. Bones will be strong. The Vikings will be well fed. Instead of bread, I have barley cakes. They were baked from barley flour with the addition of water. They took such cakes with them on a hike because it was very simple food. For a very long time it could be fresh. The Vikings came up with the idea of making sandwiches from such cakes. To do this, they took homemade butter and spread it on the cake. Previously, there was no store-bought butter, everything was homemade. Butter, milk and sour cream. Then they cut off a slice of goat or sheep cheese. And made a sandwich like this. The smell, of course, is my favorite, the medieval one. Let's taste it now. I like the taste of the sandwich, although the cake itself is tasteless. However, in combination with homemade butter and sheep cheese, the taste turned out to be quite interesting and bright. I advise everyone to try it at home. There was also an option to make sweet cakes with honey. The Vikings, like all medieval Europe, didn't know sugar. Fish was another addition to the Vikings' diet. They smoked, salted, dried and even preserved fish by fermentation. It was the famous Scandinavian surströmming. It's a pity it's not in my breakfast, I would love to try it. Instead I have such a herring. The herring was cleaned, washed in the seawater and then hung up to dry in the sun or over a fire. The result was camping food. Herring! I love herring very much. Class! Delicious! Try it at home. Buy a slightly salted herring, peel it and put it in the sun to dry it out. The main thing is don't forget about her, otherwise you will get a real surprise. Hey you! Give back your food! These cinematic Vikings are really crazy. Did you want to eat my breakfast? I'll eat you and your breakfast. While Vikings immigrants. What a nice shield! We ought to take a picture later. And here comes the addition to my breakfast. After thoroughly searching the food challenger I killed, I found an additive. There were desserts and some kind of swill. So we have dried fruit for dessert. Apparently these are prunes and dried cranberries. Also in this bag he has green apples and hazelnuts. Instead of sweets, the Vikings had berries and fruit that grew nearby. They dried and took these fruits and berries on hikes. So prunes, cranberries and green apples. By the way, dried apples and cranberries were a wonderful remedy for scurvy. It was a very terrible disease for sailors. Interestingly, the Vikings already knew how to overcome this terrible disease. Therefore, they took these products with them on their hikes. The sailors of the 14th century, for some reason, didn't want to use this life hack. Therefore, the terrible disease of scurvy moved them right and left, preventing them from discovering new lands. Scurvy, of course, doesn't threaten me yet, but as a preventive measure, I will try it all anyway. Prunes. Delicious. Delicious dried prunes. Let's add the cranberries. In fact, a good prevention against scurvy. Again, small green apples. But this is not very tasty prophylaxis against scurvy. Rare sore! But what can you not eat for the sake of health? And, of course, hazelnuts. Travelers often took them. Crap! How do you split it? Nonsense! Let's go the old-fashioned way, like nutcrackers, I mean Vikings. Not run away. Take two. We will bite more carefully so that the grain doesn't fall out. Good. We take out the kernel and eat it. Good nuts. Take two. Take three, you are a mathematician. You won't succeed. What do you mean, won't succeed? And now it's time to try what the second Viking carried in a bottle. That's what I understand. How good. There was mead here, but not the grassland, but a real Scandinavian alcoholic drink of ferment, honey and water. Vikings and Scandinavians brewed it on a par with the ale and beer. Mead was often taken on trips. But why? Firstly, it is good for your health. Secondly, mead could last much longer than ale or beer. And thirdly, mead can be warmed up in a cauldron on a hot and drunk hot. I hear approaching voices, which means it's time to draw conclusions and then run away. All Scandinavian food turned out to be nutritious and tasty. All medieval Europe considered the Vikings to be gluttons because they ate a lot, very tasty and varied. But even to such trifles as preparing for a campaign, the Vikings approached very responsibly and thoughtfully. There is food here to prevent scurvy, food that can be eaten ready to eat, other food that can be prepared. All this is varied, tasty and healthy. In comparison, Trill, Scandinavian slave, ate better than a free peasant in England or France. It was that very day, and the crows circled above us. We saw the shine of Valkyr armor in the sky. Sons of Odin, bear your blaze and stand as one wall. Oh, they run a whole village. There are about 50 of them. Oh well, there are a lot of them. It's too early for me to go to Valhalla. I want to go to England and visit a convent. They say they like tourists from Scandinavia there. So friends, subscribe to our channel, like, write comments. We are very pleased to read what you eat with us. In the meantime, I'll stop by at the English monastery. Odin! Stop! I forgot the bottle. Odin!